Hi, this is Tracy from Tracy Young Creative here in New Zealand, and I have decided today just to create my own intuitive design with Hilma, our Klint's kind of symbols, and symbols that we know that she used and the meanings that they had. So as always, I'm doing the line on the page just underneath. Hilma used blue to represent the feminine, and she used yellow to represent the masculine, and then she had this unifying green to unify them both and to bring them both together. And I'm just going to add in some fluoro pink because this is perhaps my contribution to this image. So I've had a strong feeling that I needed to have a question for myself for this session, and so I've written that down, and I've also got today's date and what this session is about. And I created myself a bit of a directory of Hilma's symbols, and this is from the Guggenheim Museum. They actually have a really good resource that they send out, or you can just access easily. So I'm now going to place these symbols upon my design, and I'm not going to be too fussy about it. I'm just going to put them where I feel they belong. And normally I do a voiceover, but today I wanted to do this because I wanted to explain. I've had to really kind of prepare myself, and I felt that was really interesting. So like I've sort of put some purified water out, and there's a bunch of flowers, and I've lit a candle, and I've done all my personal things, and yeah, it's interesting that when to sit down and work with spirit and to do this kind of work, there sort of is a requirement to be prepared, hearts and minds prepared, and to be sort of crystal clear. And so I find that really an interesting thing. It's not far off from me anyway, but I think Hilma's secret paintings, because of course they were hidden for so long, they were from a spiritual place, and so I also think they are beautiful to look at, but they are also almost a key for us to experience something, and so yeah, I'm excited to have a little bit of a experience with this. So this is so she had the dove, which represented peace and unity, and then the rainbow, which is oneness with nature. So I'm just putting that in purely intuitively. And I really invite you to have a go with this as well. I'm planning, this is one with Hilma symbols, but I'm also going to plan it. I've got my own symbol directory that I've been developing, and I really recommend that you try that yourself. Right, this really needs now a bit of purple, doesn't it? So this colour spectrum. So the triangles can represent ascending or descending form from spirit to the physical plane, and yeah, I just had this really strong impression that it needed to be one of these three-dimensional triangles. Of course, that's where Goethe's work came in with his study of the light. Which I don't know very much about, but I know Rudolf Steiner had a really big influence on Hilma, and also Hilma went to Dornach and actually did quite an intensive study herself on Goethe's work and the study of light. So you get to a point where it's actually quite tricky to do this work and think and talk at the same time, so just bear with me. At the same time though, there's just some things it's quite good to share. So this is the circle, which is oneness and the eternal, and it's quite a small circle, but I get the feeling I'll do some more work on that. And then in the corner here I have this beautiful shell, which I kind of was given as a stencil, so I've already filled that in. At the moment I'm just using pencil, but I probably will go back over with paint. But I just want to, I'm using fluoro pencils here, and they actually give an amazing effect underneath the painting, so that's why I'm doing it that way. So this little shell is often in Hilma's work, and I watched Hilma's the beautiful movie Hilma recently, and her younger sister did pass away quite suddenly and unexpectedly, and I think that caused quite a bit of trauma, but also lots of questions about spiritual things and how are we still here. But there was a little story about the shell in that, and I think the little girl had gifted it to her sister, and so it became quite an image. And for here it's about development and creation, but I would also say it's a connection to something very, very personal. So the swan often figured in Hilma's work, and being a Scandinavian country, there were lots and lots of fairy tales around swans, and also in alchemy they use swans as well a lot, so it's not a surprise that was in there, and they're such an amazing creature of transformation. And so for Hilma they represented the union of opposites, and so they often came in a pair. So I am going to try and figure out how to put a pair in here. I am just completely doing this off the cuff, and there's not a lot of planning, so but it will work, I'm sure. So over here I've done this squaring of the circle, which is almost an esoteric geometry problem, but of course I've just used my good keen eye. I haven't been too scientific about it, but Hilma was a scientist. That was her whole thing. She was really researching and seeking to understand the unseen things and charting and creating a map for us. I really do feel that when we touch these symbols, they can help us explore something. And of course the square was the element of human nature, and also of our physical body and life force. Now the final symbol is of the spiral, and I'm running out of place, but never to mind of where to put this. I'm getting the feeling there's a lot of symbols in here, and some of them will disappear, which is fine. And I think that a lot of the symbols in Hilma's work disappear underneath. So Rightio. It's not going to be a masterpiece, it's just really to explore something, and it's really an invitation for all of us to have a little bit of a play with this. I don't think you need to be an artist at all. It doesn't matter, and this may be something that you want to do several times. Anyway, I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to leave the recording going, and I hope you enjoyed. Okay,